What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Evans here with Zero Meter Chasers live on this Saturday afternoon. I did decide to fire up a live stream to kind of cover the flooding that we had last night in far western Kentucky and cover some of the rainfall that we've had here in the last 48 hours. And then I did want to cover our timing for potential storms later today into the evening on your Saturday. So that is what we're going to be covering here in this live video. As always, just to make sure that you guys can hear me, please, if you can, put a like in the chat, like the stream, and let me know the audio is working, or just put a comment in the chat to let me know that the audio is working fine. You're looking at the Kentucky Mesonet website right now, and the common theme that we've had for the last couple of days, you guys can see everywhere in Kentucky is still under that flood watch here until 2 a.m. on Sunday. So we are still concerned about a flooding risk as we get through the weekend here. You'll see we have a flood warning here in far western Kentucky, in Livingston County and Crittenden County. And that was for localized 3 to 5 inches of rain that fell last night. And then here in far eastern Kentucky near Hazard, flash flooding is confirmed and is causing some flooding out there in far eastern Kentucky. So we are seeing widespread flooding across the state. We've continued to see that flooding the last couple of days. And if I look here, I did want to look at the rainfall the last 48 hours here on the Kentucky Mesonet website. And when you look at this, I'm going to take the warnings off for you guys. When you look at the 48-hour precipitation, you can definitely see where our winners, if you want to call it that, in rainfall has been in the last couple of days. Out here in far western Kentucky, we've had anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain, and that is just from the last two waves. That's not from any of the pop-up storms that we had earlier this week. So there's definitely an exaggerated flooding concern out here in far western Kentucky, just from the amount of rainfall that has fell and the thunderstorms that could be coming, that are coming later this afternoon. If we look, though, along the I-65 corridor, you'll see kind of scattered amounts of 1 to 3 inches. Down here, it looks like this down here in Metcalfe County, they got about 3 inches, and most of that fell last night, actually. So it's kind of been scattered along the I-65 corridor. With the heaviest rainfall amounts. But I do think that we'll continue to add on to some of these rainfall amounts as we get into the afternoon today. So what I wanted to do now was kind of share the Storm Prediction Center. We have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather today. If I zoom in here, you'll see this is really focused here from Bowling Green and to Paducah. So really in southern and western Kentucky is where our slight risk is today. If we go through all the hazards, there is a very low end 2% tornado risk here in southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and western Kentucky. I don't think the tornado risk is that high today, but we'll look at some data and why there is that 2% tornado risk here in a second. I do think there could be 1 or 2 isolated tornadoes today, but the tornado threat's definitely not the highest threat that we have. You'll see we have a 15% wind risk, and just like we've had the last couple of days, the wind risk is going to continue to be the number one concern when it comes to severe weather. It can only take 50-mile-an-hour winds to bring down trees with how saturated our ground is right now. So that wind risk, again, is really looking from Bowling Green to Paducah. But we could even get some isolated damaging wind gusts out here in this 5% as well. I do think that the damaging wind threat, again, it's not going to take 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds to uproot and bring down trees for the next couple of days. So we'll have to watch that as well. And then when we look here, here's your hail risk, not a hail risk at all today in Kentucky. I did want to look at the excessive rainfall outlook from the SPC. We keep that slight risk for flooding for all of Kentucky with these thunderstorms as we move into Saturday. And then when we get into Sunday, you'll kind of see everything's going to start to shift a little bit further south. So we'll finally get out of the slight risk for many in Kentucky. That more focuses out here in southeast Kentucky as we get to Sunday. So we really just need to get through today and the flash flooding risk that we could have with these storms in the afternoon. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up some model data and kind of go through some timing with you guys on when to expect storms in the afternoon and evening. And then I will open up the chat for any questions that we have about any specific areas. So we're going to look at the HRRR here And this is what the HRRR thinks the radar looks like right now, and it's doing a pretty good job. Most of our convection right now is off in Illinois and Indiana, but with the sun shining and us building some instability, you'll see thunderstorms are going to start to fire in Kentucky here around 6 p.m. I think the greatest severe risk is going to be out here in far western Kentucky, but we will still have storm coverage up here in northern Kentucky. That MCV, that mini low pressure is still all the way off here. It's just straggling along. It's not moving through. So you'll see these storms are just not going to be very fast moving, which means they're going to be very sufficient rainmakers, which again is why we're worried about that flash flooding risk as we get into the next couple of hours. And again, if we move this here, this is at 6 o'clock, and we have some isolated cells out here along the Western Kentucky Bluegrass Parkways near Madisonville. And then you have that convection here near Evansville as well. And if we fast forward that a couple more hours here to about 8 p.m., you'll see how everything's going to kind of move off to the east. It's interesting because the coverage is not as high as the last couple of days. Now, you can see there's a lot of scattered thunderstorm development in the afternoon today, but it's not as aggressive with the rainfall amounts today as it has the last couple of days. And that's a really good thing because I would like to avoid some more flash flooding. But as we get to 10 p.m., you can see where the HRRR is hinting at the greatest concentration of storms down here in southern Kentucky. And this would definitely lead to a possibility of a flash flooding risk as we get into our Saturday afternoon and evening. And another thing, I want to back this up a little bit. At 8 p.m., remember, most of our storms in the last couple of days, in Kentucky at least, have came in overnight. So they've came in when we lost the heating of the day, when we didn't have instability. Today's shortwave is moving in a little bit faster. Again, we're going to expect storms to start firing here in western Kentucky. Even up here by Lexington and Louisville, we'll have them popping in the next couple of hours. I'm more worried about the flash flooding risk up here near the I-64, I-75 corridor. But the severe risk is a little bit higher in far western Kentucky, in my opinion, today, just because of the timing. Again, we'll have storms firing here in western Kentucky anywhere from 5 to 7 p.m. And I do think that the damaging wind threat by far is going to be the number one threat. But remember, we do have that 2% tornado risk from the Storm Prediction Center here in far western Kentucky. And that is probably because, as you can see, the HRRR is hinting at some possible discrete cells rather than a line of storms. So we'll have to kind of look at radar and see. The environment is not capable of strong tornadoes today. So if we do have a tornado risk, it'll be more of an isolated weak tornado in far western Kentucky. And then again, as we move forward here about 9 p.m., you'll see some of these cells start to congeal together into a line. And that is where we're really going to have to worry about the wind risk. And then obviously we'll still have that flash flooding risk throughout the whole state today with any of these thunderstorms that will move in throughout the evening. So as we get to about midnight, 1 a.m., you'll see most of the convection here is centered south of the western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways from Bowling Green to Somerset to Pikeville. And if we fast forward that through the night again, you'll see everything's kind of moving off to the southeast. So we are hoping to get this rain out of here and we don't have to deal with another overnight rain or flooding scenario. This one does look a little bit earlier, but it could help these storms become even more sufficient rainfall makers as we get into the afternoon and evening hours today. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about the flash flooding risk as we get into the afternoon. So again, here's the HRRR showing where the heaviest rainfall might set up as we get into the afternoon. And I'll tell you, the HRRR did a really good job hinting or pinpointing the corridor yesterday of the highest chance to see some flash flooding. So the fact that the HRRR is kind of hinting at southern Kentucky here, and I'll draw a little circle for you guys here. The fact that the HRRR is hinting at down south of the western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways, I do think that's where we're going to see the highest concentration of storms. So you will inevitably see a flash flooding risk if you're in southern Kentucky today with these repeated rounds of showers and storms. I don't think that the severe risk is that high. The damaging wind risk is the highest risk, and that'll be in Western Kentucky. I would say anywhere from Paducah to Madisonville. Could even get a severe storm into Bowling Green as well. But definitely think our flash flooding risk is the biggest concern. But the good news is the model data is not as aggressive with this round of storms as it was for the last 2 rounds of storms. So it's still showing that widespread 1 to 3 inches. And remember, it's only going to take an inch or two of rain to cause flash flooding with the amount of precipitation that we have already had here in Kentucky. So that's kind of what I got for you guys today. Widespread showers and storms are going to be expected throughout the afternoon and evening hours. Again, I think if you're here in far western Kentucky, the timing looks to be maybe around 6 to 8 p.m. when storms are going to start firing. And I do think that we'll probably have some more storm initiation up here in between Louisville and Lexington in the next couple of hours. But I'm not too worried about the severe risk up here. It's more of a flash flooding risk. And then as we get through the evening, the greatest concentration of storms will be down here in southern and western Kentucky. And that's where I'm a little concerned of the elevated flash flooding risk that we will have as we get into the night. So that is all I got for you guys so far. If we have any questions about any specific areas, please be sure to put this in the chat. Logan said, hello, neighbor. I live in Science Hill, Kentucky. So I did want to show the newest update from Weatherfront that I think is really cool. So if you are on the Weatherfront website, this is a brand new update from Weatherfront, and you can look up city locations here. So I have no idea where Science Hill, Kentucky is. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So if you search up Science Hill here, it will show that this is down here near Somerset. So I think that it's a really cool feature that Weatherfront added, and it helps me kind of see you guys' locations a little bit faster. Previous times I was kind of looking on my phone if it was kind of some of these smaller cities and towns in Kentucky, trying to find where they're at. But it's a really good update from Weatherfront where you can search up your specific locations throughout the state or throughout anywhere in the United States. But for Science Hill, I am worried about that damaging wind risk down here in Somerset and the elevated flash flooding risk as we get into the afternoon and evening. I would say storms are going to start down here around 6 to 8 p.m. Near Somerset. So let's get back here. Again, if you guys have any questions about any specific areas, please be sure to put this in the chat. I'll stay live here for the next couple of minutes, give you guys a couple minutes to put any questions in the chat. But again, I want to show that Storm Prediction Center outlook one more time here. Here is that slight risk. And again, looking at data, the Storm Prediction Center has a pretty good handle on where the greatest severe risk will set up today. I think it's going to be from a corridor from Paducah to Bowling Green. And it'll be late afternoon and we start to get storms to fire, and it looks like we'll have this wave pushed out before the overnight hours, which is a good thing, so we don't have to deal with that overnight flooding that we've had to deal with the last couple of days. So again, if we have no other questions, that's going to be all I have for you guys. I really appreciate everybody coming in here. Just make sure you stay weather aware. It looks like we got one more day of really heavy rainfall. We might have some more showers and storms tomorrow, but it definitely doesn't look as aggressive as the last 3 days have been. So it's going to be very interesting to see how tonight kind of unfolds. Again, I think the damaging wind risk is the biggest risk out here in southern and western Kentucky. And by far, even bigger than the severe risk is our flooding risk. Multiple rounds of showers and storms have moved through the area, and we'll have one more round this afternoon that could lead to some more flooding as we get into tonight. So again, just make sure you stay weather aware. Not a high severe risk at all. This is really a lower end. Couple of warnings look likely, but nothing too crazy. But again, flash flooding is one of the deadliest severe weather in Kentucky. I talk about it all the time on my videos, and it's the reason why I try to hammer home flooding so much. We've had confirmed flooding deaths in the last couple of weeks in Kentucky. So flash flooding can change very quickly. Only 6 inches of water can stall your car. 12 inches of water can sweep your car away with wherever that water is flowing. So just want to make sure everybody stays weather aware. Conditions will change quickly as we get into the afternoon. And if you see a flooded roadway, please be sure to turn around and do not drown. So I really appreciate all the support. We'll have live updates here on our social media throughout the evening, and hope everybody has a great Saturday. Thank you, guys.